beautiful people. How are you? How are you? Don't forget to subscribe to YouTube, my YouTube channel, Dr. Maya Byfield. Everybody on here. I want you to share this. I want you to subscribe to the page. And always remember that Phenomenal STEMist is available on Amazon. Right now, you can go straight to Amazon and search for it, or you can go to my website, www.phenomenalstemist.com, where you can find a link to purchase my book, or, of course, links to registering for Phenomenal STEM Camp for your children, whether it be 1 month, 3 months, or a whole year's worth of STEM education. Hello, hello, hello. But today we're talking about the top five steps. For those of you on Phenomenal Financial Freedom, I sent an article from Charles Schwab. 5 steps to make the most of your charitable giving. 5 steps to make the most of your charitable giving. Hey, my mother's in the house. Who else is watching? I see a couple of you out there. 5 steps to make the most out of your charitable giving. So I wonder how many people feel it's important to give charity. I went to a constituency meeting uh, for my religious institution, and I noticed some things. I put it on my Facebook page that troubled me. So I'm a part of a religious institution called the Seventh Day Adventist Church, and the way things work, in my church, we don't give tithe directly to our church. We are a collection of churches all over the world. A collection of churches all over the world. Just give you an example of my charity. And we're divided into first we are just a singular church. And then what happens is that my church is in the midst of other churches in my area. Feel free to chat your opinions on here. I want to have a nice discussion. So I live in Florida, and we have two types of conferences in America. We have the state conference and the regional conference. So all the churches are a collection of conferences. The state conference is the oldest conference. Unfortunately, in America, because of segregation in the past, there were racial issues that caused for the regional conference. Now, regional doesn't mean black, but it just means region, meaning a collection of churches all over the South, right? So we said, okay, we're going to cover a certain region. So Southeastern is the region of Florida and Georgia that are going to focus on centering on the black work, right? While the Florida conference is just Florida in general, just Florida state conference, Florida versus Georgia Cumberland. That's a state conference. That's most of Georgia. You hear things like you have the Allegheny East Conference. That's, I guess, the east of the Alleghenies, which is basically Pennsylvania and Maryland, right? So that's a region of states, not just one state. Where I'm from, Northeastern Conference. That's like not just New York, but New York and Connecticut and Massachusetts, I believe. Like it's multiple states that are going to focus on ministering to people of color versus Greater New York Conference. It's just a state conference. It's only focusing on New York. Guys got it? So at any rate, there are a system of churches gathered together. We decided that we will make that the storehouse. So we could talk about whether people believe that. But we would decide to, instead of giving tithes, which is 10% of our income, to our singular church, we will send our tithes, a collection of churches will send 10%. Each of us give our tithes to the church, and that church will send 10% to the conference office, meaning the central building where everybody uh, gives money to, which they can now administer different things, pay pastors, pay late Bible workers, pay, so we don't give our tithe to a single pastor. We give our tithe to a conference which delegates how much they'll give to the different pastors. I'm hoping I'm breaking it down to you. I want to talk about charitable giving, and I'm specifically talking about when it comes to my institution. So, step one, identify your goals. Right? There are hundreds of well-deserving causes: homelessness, humanity, social justice, feeding the poor, ministering to people, saving people's souls. Like different people have goals for their charity. So the first thing is, do you know what causes are important to you, and what are the causes in the church that are important to you, or what are the causes in whatever charity are important to you? Step one. Step one, identify your goals. What is important to you? All right. The more you know what's important and what you're passionate about, the more likely you're going to give. All right. So I'm talking about giving. And I'm also talking about the context of the structure of the church, right? So imagine I give 10% of my income towards that, right? 10% of my income. There are 170 churches in my conference. 170 churches in my conference, right? And we pulled in, it ain't private, we pulled in 26 million. Now, I was telling you the way my church is structured, we don't just have conferences. Imagine, so there are multiple state and regional conferences all over the country, and there are conferences all over the world. And they do the same thing as my conference. But then here's the thing, then all the conferences gather together to have organization as well. Those conferences are a part of a union. So, for instance, I'm a part of a conference who's a part of a union. So, everybody in the South, there's the Southern Union, there's the Atlantic Union, that's the Northeast area. I was used to be a part of the Atlantic Union. There's the Pacific Union, so all the churches all over in California and the West Coast area. So, we have multiple unions. Yeah. And then all the unions, like I teach my biology class, like you have the biosphere, you have the ecosystem, we support one another. So there's many unions. They are a part of the North American division. So we have conferences, then parts of unions, and then many unions make a division. So we have an organized division. So you have all of North America people. We are together, and then over there's an Africa Union, and then there's a, I mean, sorry, division, excuse me, and there is a European division. So you see multiple divisions, and together we all are world church. We call it the General Conference, the World Church. So my church is very, very structured. Step two, establish your giving structure. Like what are you going to give? Are you going to give stocks? Are you going to give clothing? Are you going to give furniture? Are you going to give money? Make sure those charities are organized, tax deductible, because they won't, that's important. Well, for some people. Here's the thing, a lot of people think that we give all our money up to the general conference. I want to break that myth. So of the 26 million that my churches have given, 170 churches got together and gave $26 million. $26 million. Really, that was just this year. So on average, $25 million for the past 5 years. $25 million to the conference, and only an average. Let me make sure I'm getting this right. Six. Yeah. On average, about $6 million. On average, about $6 million. So let's do the math of that. That, I think I already did math. That's 20%. So 20% of what we pull in, we give to the union, which gives in the division and the general conference. They only get 20%, guys. They don't get 90%, or all of the money doesn't go up to the union. That is not true. I have the statistics right here in paper. We only gave six and some $1 million up the chain. So out of the 26 million, only 6 million goes up the chain. Everybody gets that? So 20% goes up and 80% stays with the conference, because according to our organization, we have established the storehouse as the conference. Some people establish storehouses as individual churches, but I'm just giving you what our manual prophet has stated, right? So don't let anybody tell you all the money goes up to general conference. Probably only 2 million of that, maybe 10% of that goes up to the general conference. Another 2 goes to the division probably, and another 2 goes to the union. See, only 6 goes away. 20 stays here. Number 3, step 3. Step 3, create your giving plan. I want to talk about this. Create your giving plan. There's a power in giving. There's a power in giving. Set a budget and decide how much you give. Now, I just told you, according to my belief system, we should give at least a 10% tithe. I, and that's just going to the conference to pay the ministers and the Bible workers, etc., to actually take care of the churches you go to. That's offering. I'm not going to tell you, legislate to you what you should give, but all I'm telling you in my experience is that, in my experience, the more you give, the more you have. I'm not lying. I listen, y'all. My church established, a plan. We call it the Just Say Yes campaign. And, I just give you share a little, um, my screen with you so that you can see, um, what I'm talking about, right? So I'm going to share my screen, see if I can show you this window of Adventist giving, for instance. So what I'm trying to say is there's multiple structure. I'm talking about create your giving plan. There's so Pat is chaplain in the church. There's the tithe, that's 10%, right? And then there's the local church personal giving plan. See, look at that personal giving plan. They recommend 3 to 5%. It's your choice. Personal give. You gotta come up with a giving plan. This whole, I'm just gonna give $1 here, and that's what that's this. There's 170 churches, and they only gave 26 million. So I just did the math there. 100 and 120 churches. Let me make sure I think I'm blocking myself. So 120 churches, right? 120 churches, y'all. It's 170, excuse me. 170 churches gave 26 million. So I did the math. All right. That's about $150,000 a church. That's like if all the churches gave $150,000, right? So I did the math. So I have, like, with constituent, they tell us everything. They give us information about how many people are in the church. And according to the numbers that are people in the church, there are 57,000 people. There are about 57,600 people in the church. So if you divide that by the membership, that means people are giving $400 a year, excuse me. $400 a year. If you divide $150,000, right? That's per church, excuse me. If you divide that 26 million by, my mom said, remember, COVID. This is 5 years, mommy. This is over 5 years. Just to let you know, we averaged 25 million over 5 years, ma'am. Matter of fact, people gave more in COVID than in the past. Okay, so this is pre-COVID. This is pre-COVID. That's $400 a year, right? What does that mean? That means folk aren't giving. Folk aren't giving. So there's different types of levels of giving. Just to remind you, I accidentally switched that. There's different types of giving, right? And so just to remind you, different types of giving. There is the tithe that just goes straight to the conference, and then there's the local church, and then there's the conference, right? All of this leaves. The only thing that stays is, let's say, my building fund, just say yes, building fund. That's very important, right? Um, Another very important, what I will say, is the excuse me, is the time envelope itself. So I'm gonna stop sharing real quick. Stop sharing. The tithe envelope itself, right? So imagine the tithe envelope. I don't know if I have a picture of it. Just give me a second. Yeah, there it is. The tithe envelope. So those of you old school have tithe envelopes. I hope you can see the tithe envelope, right? You see this tithe envelope? This is the tithe, and then they have conference, conference, conference. Sometimes when it's colored, that represents conference, and when it's white, it represents staying inside the church, right? So you got to watch the color coding. You got to watch the color coding. These are different examples. But the key thing is the tithe goes to the conference, and the church family budget, which is white, you see the white background stays, and then the colored background is usually the conference. You got to organize your plan. right? You got to organize. You got to organize who you're giving to. So important. So, like I said before, local church is very important. Combined budget. Just say yes. Local Sabbath school. Very, very important. That's staying here. Everything else goes up outside of and the tithe also goes up. So there's an imbalance in giving. And I guess I want to ask people, you know, not really ask. I want to encourage people to know that when you give, it's a blessing, but you have to have a plan towards giving. So, like, let's say, um, step four, implement your giving plan. Implement your giving plan. What I mean by that, there's like you have to literally give yourself time. You have to give yourself time in the giving situation. It's very difficult to give if you don't plan it over a period of time. So think about whatever purpose you want to give to. So some people don't give because they don't feel like the charities are doing anything with their money. That's totally understandable. That's totally understandable. So the best way to do that, to handle that situation, is holding the charities accountable. Holding the charities accountable to the things that they are doing. A second thing is, I don't really believe in this concept of tithing, that it's not in your hands or in your control. It's not meant for you to control somebody, but your offering can be multifaceted. You can give to your church via the offering, but you can also give to other charities that are doing things like ministries that help the homeless, ministries that give money to needy children to go to college, ministries that pay bonds and bail for um, people who could not afford to get out of jail. Like, you can decide whatever you want to do with your money, but you have to do it. The key thing is you have to implement it systematically. I think the majority of people don't give consistently in our churches because they don't do systematic giving. They just throw in whatever is left. Tithe is something that you do off the top. It's like your first fruit. And there's a reason why you do that, because you're literally um, like sharing your faith and experiencing faith that all your bills will be taken care of when you give to others. You give to others, and everything that you get. I'll end with this. I'll end with this testimony. Hey, Don. I'll end with this testimony. So I've decided, I created this endowment. You can see it in the link in the chat in the bio. I decided that I would create an endowment for my alma mater, but I wouldn't use tithe money to do that. I wouldn't use tithe money to do that. Meaning, I'm not like giving 10% and taking from the 10% and gonna do my own thing with it, right? So that means I would have to take an extra. And I didn't use offering money either. So listen to what I'm saying, guys. I return a faithful tithe because that's not mine, right? That's just, I believe that a tithe is 10% of my income that belongs to um, God through the hands of the church. Okay. So I don't mess with that. Then my offering, right? My offering is my choice. I can choose what to do with my offering. hmm And it's based on like what I feel impressed to do. And I can manage it the way I want to manage it. So I give some of the offering to the church, but I also give to other church charities that I see actually doing a lot of things, like because I really want my money that I've earned through the power of God to go to powerful work, right? So I gave examples of the Robert Kennedy charity, which pays bail for people. I give to that charity, and I'm gonna start giving to Andel Brown's Justice charity, where he's a lawyer that really is a criminal defense lawyer, and like I'm passionate about making sure that Black men don't go to jail or are not put in jail um, without probable cause or because they can't afford money, to get out, right? That's what I'm passionate about. So remember we said you got to know, step 2, establish your giving structure and like identify your goals. You got to know what you're passionate about. And when you know what you're passionate about, you'll give to it. And so I'm passionate about STEM education. So I gave to STEM education. I'm passionate about it. So I'm more likely to give to something I'm passionate about. So all you churches out there that want people to give, you may want to develop something that people are passionate about so that they don't feel like you're stealing from them, much less you keep telling them they're stealing from God, right? You have to step 5, explore further. Explore stuff. Yeah, there's some nonprofits. There's some nonprofits out there that you can give to that are actually doing diligent work in the community. Salt is another one. They are bathing homeless people. They created showers for homeless people, right? So back to my original point. So I said, okay, I'm not going to mess with the tithe. I'm not going to mess with the offering orphan. I'm offering. I'm going to do other things with the money. But then I said, I also have this debt freedom goal. I want you to listen. I have this debt freedom goal. So it's like I have I have this giving goal, giving plan, and I have this debt freedom plan. And I decided to believe that I could do both, right? So I give my offering first fruits, right? I pay my bills. So I said, I'm trying to get out of debt. I'm trying to get out of mortgage debt. So I've been putting a lot of money into my mortgage to get out of debt. But this month, after giving my to charity and paying my bills, I was $650 short of what I wanted to give to my debt. I need $650 more dollars to go towards my debt plan. And I prayed about it. I said, Lord, I'm trying to do both. I'm trying to give charity and still be out of debt. And I could have easily just taken from the charity and put into my debts, but I decided I wouldn't do that. But I said, Lord, I need 650. I need extra $650. Listen to my testimony. Well, look what happened. And I need 650 plus tithe. Because if I'm gonna get an extra 650 in income, then that's another 65 that's gonna go to tithe. And basically another 30 something is going to offering. So I need more than 650 really. I need about 7 something. So I can return the tithe on the 7 and then put the 650 to my debt. Listen to me, y'all. I said this in the beginning of the month when I was I do this all in the beginning of the month. I said, Lord, I need 650 by the end of April. Well, I did a talk on Saturday. Somebody gave me $150 for it. And then I did another talk in another place and they gave me $500 for it. 500 plus 150 is 650. 500 plus 150 is 650. Well, Maya, what happened to the tithe and offering part? Well, I got an adjunct overload today for subbing for somebody. I got it for the full 3 hours. Listen, listen. I got what I'm saying to you is this, guys. I'm talking about the power of giving. I'm talking about the power of giving. Listen, listen to me. I made a plan. Let me start from the top. I identified my goals. I established a giving structure. I created a plan on how I would do it. I implemented it in spite of not having what I wanted for whatever the other thing I wanted it for. And I've explored other charities to give other than my church. I'm multifaceted in my giving. I just don't give to tithe. I give to offering, but I don't even just give to my church. I give to social justice movements because I identified my goal. I give to homeless movements because I identified my goal. I created an endowment for education because I identified my passions and goals. And when I give, my pastor always says, it's James Dawkins Sr., the Lord gives seed to the sower. I was short 654, not my mortgage, y'all. I'm not talking about my mortgage. I wasn't short 650 for my mortgage. I'm never short. I'm never short. I was short 650 for my abundance on the mortgage, trying to pay off that principal. After doing all of that, I still had money to pay for my mortgage and a little bit on my principal. But I was short 650 on the exceeding goal. And I said, God, I want that 650. And he gave me that 650 plus some. The more I invested in others, the more money I've made. I'm just giving you, like, the power of giving is you give to things that you're passionate for and you're never left wanting. I never worry about where my next bill is going to get paid from. I was worried about me being able to pay extra on my mortgage, and he provided that for me. Yeah. So don't be stingy, don't be controlling. Hold people accountable, but I've never, even when I've been upset at my church, whether it be the world church, whether it be the division, right? Whether it be the union, whether it be the conference, whether it be my individual church, whether it be my brothers and sisters in the individual church, that's not going to stop me from my plan. Because I'm not trying to be in control here. And when you don't want to be in control, God, like, he gives he gives extra. I'm telling you, I I made a vow to give to how much for my building Just Say Yes fund, and my salary has exploded. Ask my church treasurer. My salary has exploded. All money's coming from everywhere. Opportunities that don't necessarily come when you're just being stingy. Yeah, you got to hold people accountable, for sure, Don. But everybody makes mistakes, for sure. But you got to hold people accountable. All right, guys, it's been fun talking to you. It's been fun talking to you. I'm gonna say it again. The 5 steps to make most of your charitable giving is: first, identify your goals. What's important to you? Step 2, identify the structure in which you will give, what you will give. Create a plan. Step 3, create a giving plan and decide how much. Step 4, implement that thing. Be systematic in it. I'm telling you, the reason why we only get $33 per person a year. A month. Is it $33 a month? Excuse me. A month. $33. People only drop $33 in the offering pan on average. Not literally people doing it, but you know what I mean. If you do the math, that's terrible. That's because there's no systematic giving. Like, that means only 20% of people are giving and 80% of people are taking. That's what's happening. Because I'm not dropping. I just told you what 10% of my income ain't $33. 10% of my income is not $33. So there is no systematic giving. You're depending on 15, really truly about 20% of people pay the bills for the whole church. And 80% of people come in and reap the benefit and don't give anything. That is a problem. That is a problem, Don. It's a problem. Last step, if you don't like the charity that you then explore further, find other ways to give. Anybody have any comments? Find other ways to give. There's other charities to give to. But what I'm going to say is this. I'm going to say there are a lot of people up in this book. A lot of people in this book that don't give. So, like Don, you said to talk about hold people accountable. The only people who have the right to hold anybody accountable is the person if people who give. You cannot give and then have something to say about the charity that you are part of, whether it be a church or a nonprofit, right? You can't talk if you don't give. Shut that mouth. Yeah, Nathan. Like, I don't want to hear your mouth. Oh, the church should do this. Is that what and how have you invested in the church? Other than your opinion. Other than your opinion. How have you invested? Nah, Dread. No, 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 no. Be systematic in your giving. That's the only way. I think if everybody decided to give, the only way, like, is if you do it systematically. When you do it systematically, like, if everybody decided, you know what, I'm gonna give $1,000 a year, right? I'm gonna give $1,000 a year. Divide that thing. Let's say you don't want to start with 10%. I'm gonna give I've decided I'm gonna give $1,000 a year. Well, divide $1,000. Let's do the math because yeah, it's still phenomenal STEM. It's phenomenal financial feeling. $1,000 divided by 12 months. That's $83. If people decide, you know what, I'll give $1,000 a year and I'm gonna give $83 every month. I'm gonna put it in the tithe envelope. That 26 million will jump to 50 million. Just like that. Can you believe that? I know people have, listen, $33 a month. You know what $33 a month is? That's $1 a day. There are people spending more money on Starbucks than Jesus, than other people. If people, a $33 a month is $1 a day. People buy Starbucks for more than for $5 a day, $10 a day. It's because people are. I think if people were more knowledgeable and say, "Wow, let me double it. Let me double that $33 a month to $63 a month." It jumps to 50 million, just like that, in a systematic way. We got to be systematic in our giving. Nathan says, "Look at the cars in the parking lot." Mercy. Look at the cars in the parking lot and the clothes that people wear. Every time I go to Oakland for alumni weekend, sometimes I'm like, ugh, right? Because everybody's coming renting cars and nobody's giving to endowments. Nobody's creating endowments. It don't take nothing. Listen, I built my endowment. I decided in a systematic way. You had 5 years to give $25,000. That's not how much. That's $5,000 a year. Let's do the math. $5,000 a year. I think it was $500 a month I was giving. I decided to make a decision. I made a decision. Sorry, $5,000. I think it's 600 divided by 12. 416 a month. I said I'm gonna just do 416 a month. Slowly chug along. I didn't just give $25,000. I broke it up in a plan and made it systematic. I think it was $500 a month for 10 months. I did like the first 2 months I didn't do it, and then from this point on to this point on, I'm gonna give 500 a month for 10 months. First year did it. Second year did it. Kept doing it, and then I started to ask other people. The link is still in the bio. The endowment is still alive. And now the endowment is there, just like that. Why? Systematic giving. What is $500 a month or $416 a month for a year, right? Divide that by 4 weeks. That's $104 a week. Divide that by 7 days. That's $14 a day. $14 a day. Like what's like shoot, that's $14 is basically a beef bowl chipotle with the soda that I drank today. Like it's not a lot. Don says stay home and contribute to the organization. What do you mean by that? What do you mean stay home and contribute to the organization? Can you clarify that, Nate? Don? Image over everything. Yeah, that's that car thing. Yeah, yeah. But I'm saying the amount of money we would spend on alumni weekend, we literally could just drop $25,000 in an endowment. Like let 25 people all give $1,000, or let the 100 people give break that down. You get my point? Like if everybody said here, but it would have to be systematic. There has to be something created in place. People aren't just gonna just randomly give, right? But if there's something like you can give to that satisfies their passion and goals, I think more people would give, other than just saying if you don't give, you're robbing God. I think the church and charities in general can do a better job of enticing people to give. You can teach people about what it means to give, hence this video. You can create tools to easily give, right? You did it. You did it in the pandemic, right? You can create funds that people are passionate about. I hope people are passionate about educating the future, especially those in STEM. If you are, click that link in my bio and it'll send you right to Generation X Doctors of OC STEM endowment, and help put somebody through school who wants to be a scientist, technologist, engineer, mathematician, physician. You got me? Don says, unfortunately, people are more concerned about social events than giving to the organization. We can do both. That's what I'm saying. Literally. Listen, it's about deciding I'm not to stop just trying to make money. I'm not saying you can't try to make money. Shout out to Phenomenal STEMist. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Shout out to Phenomenal STEMist. Please buy that book. Enroll your kids in those STEM camps. Ain't nothing wrong with making money, guys. Nothing wrong with making money. But I've learned, I'm telling you, I've learned that the more you give, the more opportunities to get. The more opportunities to get. I gave you my testimony. All right, y'all. It's 6:45. It's been a great conversation. I hope this has taught someone a little bit about at least my system of giving for the church in which I go to, and the 5 steps to maximize your giving, and giving you some passion to systematically give. I think it's all about systematically deciding how much to give. When you do that, everything explodes. You guys have a great, great, great night. Bye, Don. Bye, Nathan. Bye, Mommy.